child abuse, rape, murder, war, starvation, poverty, loss of loved ones, people dying too soon. How can God be perfect? How can all of this be perfect? And more importantly, how does someone who has been affected by these things get over them? How do we help people? Now, these are very important questions. But underneath these questions is another more important question. What is beneath this question? What is behind these questions? Is it just a philosophical question? Are these just questions that people would like to know the answers to, just because they sound nice? The root of these questions comes from an emotion, from a feeling. And the feeling is, why does it hurt so bad? Why am I feeling pain? Why am I feeling this discomfort? There is a disturbance inside me. There is a feeling of unease inside me, and I want to know what the reason is for it. Now, we come to this sort of thinking because we look at our minds in the same way that we look at our bodies. And when our body is healthy, we know that all the stimulus for the body, all the environment around the body is in balance. And how do we know that? How do we know that our body feels good? We know that we feel able, we can move, we feel healthy, we don't feel weak. We know that there is balance. But as soon as there is a feeling of discomfort inside our body, if there is a feeling of a little bit of difficulty, something is struggling, something is not quite right, then straight away we want to know what the answer is. We want to know what the cause of this problem is. It can be a flu, it can be an infection, it can be some sort of pain, it can be that we're too hot, we're too cold, that we're hungry, that we've eaten bad food. So as soon as there's discomfort in the body, we want to know what the cause of that discomfort is. And we use the same logic to try and understand our mind. When our emotions feel difficult, then we want to know what is the cause of it. If there is something that we would call a negative emotion. And we can boil some of these feelings of discomfort we have down to some very basic things. And this is a very loose generalization. If you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling worried, all of those things are caused by some fear. When you know that you're stressed, if you're angry, or if you're worried, what the root cause of those things is fear. And when you're feeling sad, the root cause of that is that you feel something has been taken away from you, or your expectation has not been met in some way. We're going to talk a lot about expectations later on today. And most of the time we can't see our problems in such a simplistic way. When we feel sad, when we feel angry, when we feel anxiety, stress, what do we like to do? We like some other thing to blame. We like to have something to make responsible. We need someone to blame. And that could be anyone, family members, a colleague at work, friends, even strangers. Sometimes if we don't have a person to blame, then we can just blame circumstances like there's too much traffic or the weather is not good. And if we don't have even something else to blame, then we say it's our destiny, it's bad destiny. We're always trying to look for something to blame. When there's really big disasters in the world, then we don't know what to do. So then we start asking very fundamental questions. Maybe God is to blame. And as soon as you say it's God's fault, then you start thinking that doesn't sound right, that doesn't feel right. We start feeling uneasy with this idea. You know why? Because there's an assumption that we make And the assumption is, surely God wouldn't do this to me. Surely God wouldn't do this to me. What have I done wrong? What have I done to deserve this? And all of this comes from an idea that we have about this God. And the idea is that surely God only does good things. And we get indoctrinated with this idea from a very young age, that God is good, does only good things, and represents goodness in the world. Getting a bit serious now, isn't it? So I'll make it a bit light. I'm going to sing you a song. Actually, I'll just tell you the words. You don't want to hear me singing the song. This is a song that I learnt in school, and I'm sure a lot of you know this song. It goes, all things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, the Lord God made them all. You're all singing the tune in your head. Each little flower that opens, each little bird that sings, He made their glowing colors, He made their tiny wings. From a very young age in school, I remember singing these songs in assembly. God does all the wonderful things. So God is responsible for all the good things. But is this the reality? Is this what we really see in the world? Is God only responsible for the good things, or is God responsible for everything? Gurbani talks about a different idea. Gurbani talks about hukam, that which is. The word hukam means command. It gives this idea of a royal king who is commanding over the whole universe. And the hukam is whatever the king says, that's what has to be done. But how do we understand hukam? How can we make it something that's relevant to our life? A good way to understand hukam is to simplify it. In English, we can say hukam means reality, that which is happening. Not what somebody has said, not what some God sitting in a throne is saying, but that which is happening. Reality. So when we start looking at hukam as reality, then that reality includes everything that we would call negative, everything that we would say is dark. So what we can say is that reality is like a spectrum. Creation, the universe, is a spectrum of all possibilities. What does that mean? Everything that can happen may happen. If we see the universe as a spectrum, do you know what I mean by a spectrum? A range of all possibilities. What do? Is we are only looking at one section of the spectrum. We're only looking at the spectrum that says good things are happening. But reality means anything can happen and anything does happen. And in that spectrum of anything that can happen, some things we call good and some things we call bad. But let's think about what is good or bad. Good or bad means if it impacts me in a way that I like, I'm going to say it's a good thing. If it impacts me in a way that I don't like, I'm going to say it's a bad thing. But the reality is different. Reality is this is what's happening. You can call it good or you can call it bad. That's up to you. I like to use a very simple analogy to explain this idea. So imagine it's your wedding day. And for the last 2 months, it has been glorious sunshine every day. So what's your ardas going to be? On my wedding day, please don't let it rain. It's been sunny for the last 2 months. My important day, on this day it shouldn't rain. This is the big day. Yeah, you put your calendar up, you circle it, you said that's the day. So you're doing ardas every day. Don't let it rain on that day. But 1 mile up the road, there's a farmer, and he's looking at the weather, he's looking at the clouds, and he's saying it's sunny every day. Why hasn't it rained? So what's his ardas going to be? Please let it rain. So on the day, it rains. The people getting married say, this is terrible. This is the worst thing that can happen. Of all the days that it could have rained, why did it have to rain today? And on the other side, 1 mile down the road, the farmer is going to all his neighbors and handing out laddus because it started raining. Now you tell me, is the rain good or is the rain bad? It's neither, is it? It just is. It's just rain. What does the rain care about your opinion of the rain? What does the rain care if you think it's good rain or bad rain? The rain is going to rain when it's going to rain. This is how the whole of the universe is working. All day, every day, it's just doing what it needs to do. And we're sitting there saying, this is a great thing, today is a good day, and this is a bad day. So when we think and hear about concepts like the universe is perfect and hukam is perfect, what we like to think is that means my life is going really well. All the good things are happening in my life. But that's not what it means that the universe is perfect. The universe is perfect. It knows when it needs to rain and it's going to rain. It knows when it doesn't need to rain and it's not going to rain. That is the perfection of the universe. That's what it means that the universe is perfect. That's what it means that hukam is perfect. But we don't see the world in that way. So we see the whole universe based on me. How does it affect me? Meri gal karo. Let's see how this affects me. So our whole perception of the world is based on how does it impact me. We have no interest in hukam, only if hukam is doing nice things to me. The reality is there is no good hukam and there is no bad hukam. It is what it is, and that's what hukam means. Now the question is, are you able to accept hukam? Are you able to understand and see the reality for what it is, rather than how you want it to be? Are you able to lose your expectations? On the day that it was going to be the wedding day, you had an expectation, I don't want it to rain. The farmer had an expectation, I want it to rain. Neither of them are willing to accept the reality as it is. Everybody is thinking about how is this going to impact me. So let's talk more about bigger issues. The traumas that we face in our life, the big question is now, how are we going to deal with these traumas in our life? And I'll tell you from my own personal experience, one of the most impactful things that has happened in my life is to try and understand why sadness happens. And I'd really like to share that with you today. When you can understand the cause of your own suffering, when you can understand the cause of your feeling sad, then you will have a much better understanding of where this is coming from. What does it mean? Why do I feel this way? So, there is a very simple way to understand suffering. And I like to use simple formulas, like when you go to school and you learn A plus B equals C. So let me teach you a very simple formula, if you'll allow me. Expectation minus reality equals dukh or sukh. Let me tell you what that means. Expectation minus reality equals dukh or sukh. Let me explain that. Let's say I arrange a meeting with you, and I say, meet me in the town center at 12 o'clock. What is my expectation? You're going to meet me at 12 o'clock. So the day comes, I'm standing there waiting for you. Let's say you arrive at 12 o'clock. What's my response going to be? Happy. I told you to come at 12 o'clock. I set an expectation for myself. I set an expectation for you. You arrived, you met my expectation, I'm happy. Let's say you arrive at 12:30. What's my feelings going to be? I'm going to be a little bit disappointed, but chalo, it's not too bad. I set the expectation at 12, you've arrived at 12:30, not too bad. I'm a little bit annoyed at you, but not too bad. Let's say you turn up at 2 o'clock. What's my feelings going to be? Very annoyed. Why? The reality is you turn up when you're going to turn up. But my expectation determines how happy I'm going to be, how sad I'm going to be. Why? The further the reality goes from my expectation, the more my dukh or sukh is going to be. If you turned up 5 minutes early, you've gone the other way. You've exceeded my expectations. You've turned up even earlier. So I'm even happier. Wow, we agreed 12. You've come even earlier. What if you come at 10 o'clock? Then you go the other way. Then I'm going to be disappointed on that side. I'm not ready. I'm not there yet. Why are you turning up at 10 o'clock? So it's a very fine line. But what is the one thing that I'm holding on to? I'm holding on to 12 o'clock. We said 12 o'clock. That's my expectation. What I'm not doing is I'm not going with the flow. As reality is, I'm not saying you've turned up when you turn up, not a problem. Now, you can see how easy it is to get disappointed. How easy is it to get unnecessarily happy or unnecessarily sad? Is that even a reason to get happy or sad? And what do you do then? You blame the other person. I told you 12 o'clock, you came at 2 o'clock. You blame the other person. You don't even ask them why you're late. That's it, you're already annoyed. Before they turn up late, you're already annoyed because you're holding on to your expectation. Now let's say we arrange for you to come to my house and I say, come whatever time you want. You turn up at 10 o'clock, I'm neither happy nor sad. You come at 12 o'clock, neither happy nor sad. You come at 2 o'clock, I'm neither happy nor sad. What's the difference? I have no expectation. Reality is where happiness is. That's where contentment is. That's the hukam, reality. The more you move from my expectation of reality, the more dukh I'm going to feel. Your suffering isn't because the other person turned up late. Your suffering is because you're not willing to accept that they turned up late. You're still holding on to your 12 o'clock. We agreed 12 o'clock, you should have come at 12 o'clock, and you're holding on to that. The reality has moved past 12 o'clock now. You don't move along with it. You're holding on to an idea. Now, where is the expectation? Is that a reality? Is that something that you can actually hold on to? No. The expectation is just a thought. Your thoughts make you happy or sad. Did you know that? Your thoughts are making you happy and your thoughts are making you sad. There is no such thing as happy and sad. It's just a thought. It's just an idea in your head. Hukam is moving beyond that. So, happiness is not about what you get in life. Happiness is how you react to what you get in life. What do we think happiness is? We think happiness is the more I get, the happier I'm going to be. The more money I earn, the more big things I can buy, the more happier I'm going to be. So we think the more we receive, the more happy we're going to be. But that's not what happiness is. Happiness is not what you get, it's how you deal with what you get. It's not about how much you get, it's about how you deal with how much you get. That's what happiness is. And the question is, are you able to accept reality? That reality is neither good or neither bad. But let's talk about more serious things, because these are the kind of questions that people have in their mind. What about child abuse? What about real traumas that we have in our life? What about these real difficult things that we sometimes face in our lives? The reality is, whatever it is, the scenario, whatever the scenario is, it starts with an expectation in our mind, that our mind has an expectation that life should be good. Our mind sets an expectation that life should be pleasurable. But the reality is, that's not what life is. Let's look at nature. Have you ever seen these documentaries on these nature programs? You see, nature is quite harsh. Nature is quite brutal. Animals fight with each other all the time. Animals kill each other all the time. I saw a program once about lions. When a lion, male lion, goes to take over another lion, he wants to take their pride. One male lion to several females, and they have lots of children. When a new male comes and says, I want to own this pride, if he defeats the lion of that pride, you know what the first thing is he does? He goes and he kills all the children of that lion. That's the first thing he does. If he's gone and defeated that lion, and that old lion leaves the pride, he's now the new lion of the pride. The first thing he does, he kills all the children. That's the first thing he does. Because why does he want to take over that pride? He wants his genes to continue. He wants to be the lion that gives the new cubs to the females. So is this good or is this bad or is this natural? Nature. This is what nature is. And the same applies to human behavior. We can't see that if somebody abuses somebody else, that the abuser is neither good or bad. We can't see that. We can't see that what we're calling bad, that person is simply carrying out his hukum. The hukum that has been laid out for that person, he is just doing that. They've not had the grace to understand their ego. They've not had the chance to understand the gyan of the Guru. They don't understand the oneness, the creation. They don't have the opportunity to experience the bliss of Naam. So whatever their circumstances are in life has led them to do what we would call either good or bad things. And what is our hukum? If we catch someone like that, an abuser, rapist, whatever, what's our hukum? That we naturally feel we're going to attack them, we're going to beat them, we're going to punish them in some way. That's our hukum. So the person doing the bad thing is carrying out their hukum. The victims and the family and the friends of the victim, they're carrying out their hukum. But the universe is playing both sides of the game. If you ever get a chance, look into the Bhagavad Gita. There's a very interesting story in there. People get quite scared when we start talking about these other things, but we can learn from some of these things. In the Bhagavad Gita, there is a story of the Mahabharata, the big battle. And in that battle, the Gita is a conversation between Arjun and Krishna. Arjun is standing at the beginning of a battle. He's standing on one side of the battle, and he's looking at the enemy, and the enemy has all of his friends and relatives. His own teacher is standing on the other side. His own cousins and other people are standing on the other side. And he asks Krishna, he says, I don't know how to start this battle. I don't know how to have this battle. How can I fight these people? I grew up with them. They're my family. That is not your decision to make. Your hukam is you're sitting on this side of the battlefield. Their hukam is that they're sitting on that side of the battlefield. And hukam is that this battle is going to happen. You carry out your hukam, they carry out their hukam. Don't you get involved. Don't you bring your hankar, your home into this. Don't bring your ego into this, that what am I going to do? The universe has already laid out this tamasha, this play, this natak. The Guru has already laid this out. Look at Guru Gobind Singh Ji. What does he call his life story? He doesn't say this is my autobiography. He says it's a natak, Vachitra natak. It's a play. It's a game. He sees his own life story as a play, as a game that's just happening. I'm just a witness to this play. Natak, what does natak mean? It means tamasha, it means drama, right? It means something that's just a play. And something that's a play is not real. It's just a game that's happening. So if we can start adopting this in our life, we can start to see that the universe is playing both sides of the game. The universe is the victim, but the universe is also the oppressor. That one, ik, is playing both sides. Now, can we accept that? We're still stuck in this, something is good and something is bad. But Guru is trying to teach us that everything is one. This is the way of the universe. This is the perfection of the universe. Now the question always comes, why? Why does it happen? Why is it like this? The why is unknowable. Guru Nanak Dev Ji doesn't try to answer this question, why does the universe do what it does? How many times in Gurbani does it come, Ape Jane Aap? Only you know. You know what you know. How can we know? What can we know? All we know is that it's happening. We barely know our own minds. How can we know what is in the mind of the Paramatma? So the question is no longer about why do bad things happen. The question is, are you going to be able to accept the universe? What is your coping mechanism? What is your strategy to deal with the universe? You see, if you're swimming in a river, there's two ways that you can swim. One, you can go with the direction of the flow of the river and your life will be easy. One is you can swim in the opposite direction of the river and your life will be hard. Your swim will be difficult. Now, can you blame the river if you choose to swim in the opposite direction? No. The river is going in one direction and that's how hukam is. Hukam's going in one direction. Either you swim with hukam or you swim against hukam, but it's not hukam's fault. Hukam is doing what it needs to do. Hukam means that which is happening, reality. That's the divine will. Can we accept hukam? Can we accept all the things that are going to be written in our life? Disease, poverty, trauma, disabilities, can we accept them? In Japji Sahib, Guru Sahib says, Hukum likh dukh sukh paiye. All the circumstances that cause your happiness and your sadness, they're being written into the story of life. So happiness and sadness, that's out of your control. All those circumstances you can't control. You don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know if the next breath is going to come into us. How do we know what's going to happen in life? These are all part of hukam. This is the natural way of the universe. We can call hukam the natural law, that which is happening. And what happens in life? You get your highs and your lows, you get your good days and your bad days, your happiness. But then as you want it to happen, everyone is chasing after happiness. Everyone is running after happiness. But the reality is, everything is happening in the one will, the hukam. Guru Sahib says, Hukme andar sab ko, bahar hukum na koe. Nanak hukme je buchhe, ta homme kahe na koe. We talk from the perspective of homme, from me. Why is this happening to me? Guru Sahib says, if you understood hukam, then you wouldn't ask about me. But the key thing here is bujhe. Nanak hukme je bujhe. If you understand hukam, then you will know that it's not about me. Hukam, the reality, is not about me. That's like the river and the fish. The fish thinks the whole river is about me. The river isn't about the fish. The fish is in the river, but the whole river doesn't revolve around the one little fish. If you understand the river is going in this direction, then the fish will say the river is going in that direction, nothing to do with me. Nanak hukume je bujhe ta homme kahe na koi. Then nobody would speak from your own personal perspective. So the question is, where's God's role in all of this? Does Gurbani see God as the doer of just good things? Or does Gurbani see the one, the divine God, as the doer of everything? Guru Nanak Dev Ji has a shabad that says, Puch na saje, puch na tahe, puch na deve le. This oneness, God, Ik, doesn't ask anybody's permission when it's going to create, when it's going to destroy, when it's going to give, or when it's going to take. Apni kudrat ape jane, ape karan kare. The oneness knows its own creative power. It's doing everything itself. Sabna vekhe nadar kar jai pave te de. It does everything, it sees everything, it gives and takes away as it pleases. Jai pave te de. As it pleases, so it's giving. So the universe doesn't need your permission. It doesn't need your permission to rain. If it needs to rain, it's going to rain. It asks no one's permission. This is why we have this analogy. Guru Sahib is always saying that you are the king sitting in the darbar. The king means there's nobody higher. There's nobody that the king has to ask permission of. That's where the buck stops, at the king. It knows itself. And most people don't want to accept life like this. We always want to know why. We always want to question the decisions of Hukam. We even hear people saying everything happens for a reason. You know what they're saying when they say everything happens for a reason? They're saying it doesn't feel good right now. Maybe the good will show up some later point in the future. What that means is, I still don't like what Hukam is doing, but I'm going to just hope that there's a good outcome. What's a good outcome? That somewhere down the line it's positive. It's not positive now, somewhere down the line it's positive. You see here people say this, huh? That there must be some good thing here. It doesn't feel good, but let's hope there's something good. That's not accepting Hukam. Hukam is, as is happening, that's what is happening. That's it. At every single moment, are you able to accept the decision of Hukam as it's happening? Guru Arjan Dev Ji says, there's a shabad in Sri Rag Mahalla Panjwa, Dukrit Sukrit Mande Sansar Saglana. The whole world is engrossed in bad deeds and good deeds. Dohu te rahat pagat hai, koi virla jana. The whole world is lost in good things and bad things, but the pagat, the meditator, the one who knows they are beyond good and bad actions, koi virla jana. Only a few rare people are like this, live like this. Thakur sarve samana. This master Thakur, this king, is in everything. Kya kaho suno swami? What can I say about you? What should I even hear about you? Tu vad purkha sujana. You are the big being and you are the ultimate sujana. You the one that know everything. What can I say? What can I say about your Hukam? So Gurbani talks about the oneness, not just doing good things. You're in everything, you're doing everything. You're even the destroyer of all things. You know, Jap Sahib Ji talks about Namo Sarva Karta, Namo Sarva Harta. The one who creates everything and destroys everything. This is the Paramatma that Guru Sahibs are talking about. Not just the one who gives you good things. It's the one that does everything. The creator of Maya, the creator of ego, the creator of happiness and sadness. So the one can't be good or bad. The oneness is neither good or bad. Remember, Guru Arjan Dev Ji says that Dohu te rahat pagat hai. The pagat is the one who is beyond good or bad. But we don't like to think like that. We don't understand that good or bad is subjective. We don't understand that good or bad is only from our perspective. And the rain scenario that we talked about earlier, that's a very good way to understand this. So the oneness is doing everything. It is one. It's absolute. It's non-dual. It's beyond duality. The one means that there aren't 2 or 3 or 4, and it's not doing good things one day and bad things another day. That's duality. Duality means 2 different ways of working, 2 different ways of living, 2 different ways of looking at things. Seeing things as opposites. There is no opposite. There just is. So, the problem is that we don't work like that. We are relative beings. So we're beings that see everything as good or bad, hot or cold. Day is the opposite of night. Up is the opposite of down. So we judge everything in the world based on what's the opposite. Is this a good fruit? Well, I know what the bad fruit looks like, so this is a good one. So you're always looking at things from a relative perspective. We're looking at the whole world based on if one is like this, then the other is like that. But that's this dualistic way of looking at the world. But the one is what we call absolute. It's just one. It's doing everything all in one go. But Guru Sahib is trying to explain something to people like us, and we don't see the world in this way. We see the world in opposites. That's how we see the whole world. So Guruji's got a very hard job to try and explain to people like us. So what does this mean for us? What does this mean for our actions? Does it mean that we can do whatever we want? If there's nothing good and there's nothing bad, maybe we can just do whatever we want. It's all hukam, right? Why do we have to do all good things? Why do we have to do lots of hard work? Being good is quite hard work. It's a lot easier to be bad. Just don't bother, don't care about anyone. Now that's a question that you're going to have to answer for yourself. What is your purpose in life? What are you here to do? The Gurus have laid out a path. Taram. They've laid out this rasta for us, this route for us. The question is, are you able to walk this path? This is the path for human beings to reach our highest potential. That's the path that the Guru has laid out. The one that gives humanity the most happiness, the most bliss, contentment in life. Question is, do you want that? Do you want that ultimate true happiness, or are you just happy with life as it is? Some days I feel like doing this, some days I feel like doing that. Or are we ready to walk the Guru's path? Now another very important issue that's all related to these things around why bad things happen is people are also struggling with the traumas of other people, but they're also struggling with the traumas that they have inflicted on the world. One of the biggest things that people don't talk about is the idea of how do I forgive myself? How do I forgive myself? A lot of the time we're carrying burdens of our own past actions, and we're completely unable to let our own past go. And this is where you start seeing these ideas of regret, self-blame. And all of these stem from one problem, that you think you are responsible for those things that have happened. If the universe is doing everything, if the universe is doing all things bad and all things good, then that means the universe is doing everything that you're doing. Everything that you have done is being done by that Paramatma, that one who is in control of everything. The reason you're unable to forgive yourself is because you're still holding on to the idea that I did it. I'm the one who did the bad things. We can't accept that our actions are also part of hukam. So in a normal scenario, we might be the victim and there's somebody else that we can blame. They're the oppressor, we're the victim. But in cases where we're the ones not able to forgive ourselves, at some point we have been an oppressor, we've hurt somebody else. But when we carry the burden of that pain, then we become the oppressor and we become the victim. Within yourself, you're playing both the roles. Question is, are you able to accept that even the things that you have done in your past is only based on whatever wisdom the universe had given you? Whatever whatever thinking you had, whatever soji you had at that time, That's what made you do that action. Are you able to accept that? Are you able to see it as part of that divine will? Are you able to let go? Let go of the victim, let go of the oppressor, so that you can say that everything is done by them. My children are quite young, and there's a very good song which says, "Let it go." I'm sure you've heard it. It's from one of these Disney movies. Let it go. The song just keeps saying, "Let it go, let it go." It's a good mantra for the little children to learn. Let it go. Actually, it's a good mantra for us to let go. We have to learn that mantra as well. Frozen mantra. I like to leave you with some things that you might not remember anything that I say, but you'll remember frozen mantra. Let it go. Let it go. Question is, are you able to let it go? Hukam is the act of letting go. That's what hukam means. The hukam means, can you transcend? Can you move past it? Or are you still holding on to the pain? Are you holding on to the victim mentality? Are you holding on to this illusion that I made all the decision, I made those choices, it was me that did that, it's my fault? Or holding on to this, it's his fault or her fault, they did it. It's because of them that this has happened. Are you able to let that go? Are you able to live as part of this bigger creation? That you're able to see everything as just what the one is doing. When we start to live like this, then we can say that our will is the will of hukam. Whatever we do is what hukam is doing. Whatever we think is what hukam is doing. You now become responsible for the whole universe, and the whole responsibility of the universe is also on you. You are just another part of what the whole universe is doing. The question is, are you willing to be so connected to the universe, to that oneness? Or do you want to keep the oneness somewhere far away, so you do all the big things, let me worry about all the everyday problems? So, having this mentality of letting go, this brings this carefreeness. Nanak Bhagata Sada Vigas. Nanak says that the Bhagats are forever in bliss. They're playful, they're joyful. Why? Because they've listened to this wisdom. Suniye dukh paap ka nas. By listening to what the Guru is saying, all their sorrows go, and all their paap that they've done, they also go. Nas. Nas means destroyed, completely destroyed. Suniye dukh paap ka nas. But you have to be willing to listen to this. So that gives you this tranquility that we're looking for in life. But what that means is you have to let go of your own baggage. You have to let go of your blame. That means you walk around with no baggage, no blame, no self, no identity, no identification with your past, no identification with your actions. But we get uncomfortable with this. We think, what do you mean? If I have no responsibility, then I can just do whatever I want. It's a very fine balance. You have to figure out some of these things. Yeah? Guru can only show you the way. You still have to walk this path. You still have to decide what's the right thing to do at this moment. What's the way to live? The truth is, the universe is sufficient as it is. But we don't see the universe like that. Everything that the universe is doing is enough. But we like to take all the responsibility. We like to take these burdens. Why do you want to take all these burdens? Why do you want to take these responsibilities on your life? Like you're the architect of the whole universe. Like you're the one in control of everything. Why do you want to think like that? No trouble is really yours. Leave it. Jo jo tera hukam tive tyo hona. Whatever is your hukam, that is what's going to happen. That's another good mantra. If you want to find a way to find peace in your life, every moment of every day, Jo tera hukam, Jo tera hukam, Jo tera hukam. Make that your mantra. Ape jane aap, you know what you're doing. This is your will. Jo tera hukam. This is your will. Whatever you want, that's what's going to happen. Gurbani says this time and time again, in so many shabads, as the divine wills, that's what's going to happen. So don't take troubles on in your life. Don't hold on to these things. Living like this means there's no concerns for you, no troubles, no hardship. No glory is yours either, no victory is yours either. And no loss is yours and no failure is yours. Everything is the dance of the one. This is a kid, this is a play, this is a dance. The universe is just dancing in a mast with itself. It's just playing with itself. Where's the question of you doing anything? So, this is why Guru is saying, no one is high and no one is low. You hear that in Gurbani as well? No one is up and no one is down. Because you're not high because you're successful and somebody is low because they're not successful. What has your success got to do with you? You might think, oh, I've done a lot of hard work. I'm the reason for my own success. But how did you do the hard work? You did the hard work with your body and you did the hard work with your brain. Did you create your body? Did you create your brain? Did you create your mind and your ability to think? So how can you take responsibility for your success? And in the same way, how can you take responsibility for your failures? Are they really success or failures? Or are they just hukam? The way things are. But we don't want to see the world in this way. We like to see all the things that we've been given in our life. We come, we do shukrana, we do ardas, we do our kanpars. Thank you for giving me a son. Thank you for blessing me with this. Thank you for all the good things. And then when bad things happen, nobody comes and says thank you. Then it's, oh, chalo, sanjog. Then you see how a language changes. See how a language changes when everything is good? Oh, it's very good. Then we say, when we can't accept it, oh, like, oh, it's sanjog digala. It's like, oh, maybe it's all written in destiny. Our whole language starts saying, what we're saying is it's hukam, but I don't really like it. I don't really have any control in it. If I was in control, I wouldn't have done this. That's what we're really saying. If it was up to me, I wouldn't have done this. But the Bhagats are completely detached from this way of thinking. They're saying what is happening is what is happening, neither happy, neither sad. So we like to see God is giving us all the good things in life, and we like to hold all the blame to ourselves. I'm the puppy, I'm the one who's done all the bad things. But this is just another way of holding on to this identity that I'm important. I might not do good things, but I do some things, at least I do some of the bad things. So we like to make God separate. And we like to keep our ego going. Even if it's a dukhi ego, a suffering ego. Question is, why are you not able to let go of this? So let's talk about practicality as we're coming towards the end of this talk. How do you practically let go? The first step to letting go is that you have to recognize when you feel this unfulfilled feeling inside you. Something is unresolved, something is not quite right. There's a disappointment in your inner being, in your mind. First you have to recognize something doesn't feel right. The second and most important thing to realize is that this feeling is temporary. This feeling is temporary. If you are going through some difficulty in your life, the most important thing for you to remember is that this is going to go away. It's okay. Some things happen, but it's not going to last forever. There was a story, I think it's one of these old Persian tales, of a king who gathered all his wise men and he said, I set you a challenge. Give me something that will make me happy when I'm sad and make me sad when I'm happy. And all the wise men got together and said, this is a very difficult thing. But they went away, they did some thinking. They came back and they presented the king with a ring. And on the ring there was an inscription that said, this too shall pass. When you're happy, know that this is going to go away. And when you're sad, know this too shall pass. I think we should all have a ring like that. We should all have something that's a constant reminder, this is going to go away. If you're struggling with something right now, the most reassuring thing that anyone can say to you, that I can say to you is, know it's going to be okay. It will be okay. It will change. Nothing lasts forever. So you have to find a way to slowly convert your suffering into acceptance. Use your suffering as a way to say, I need to learn from this, I need to move on from this, I need to recognize this. Use your suffering as your medicine. When you're feeling that dukh, know the reason I'm feeling dukh is not because the dukh is my illness. The way I was thinking was already the illness. This is now the outcome of that. I was holding on to expectations. That was my illness. My dukh is now my reminder. My suffering is now my reminder saying you weren't right in the first place. The very reason you're feeling sad is because you weren't right in the first place. We think when I'm happy, everything is all right. That's not when it's all right. When I'm content, that's when everything is all right. Use your suffering as your medicine. Dukh daru. Sukh rog paya. Happiness is the disease because in happiness you don't remember. In sadness you can remember. So can you use this dukh to actually move past the dukh itself? Use dukh as a way to understand that the reason I'm feeling this dukh is because I'm not accepting hukam. Use dukh as a way to change that dukh into acceptance. And you have to let go of whatever idea that you have of what life should be like. If you have an expectation of what life should be like, that's the idea you have to let go of. If you have a trauma that you've been through, your dukh, your suffering is that I want my life to go back to how it was before all this happened. I can even accept that it happened, but I want my life to go back to it. I want it to be like it never happened. Expectation. You're saying, I expected my life to stay like that. The reality says, we're moving somewhere else. We're going this way now. Are you coming with me or are you going to fight it? Because we're going this way. So you will have a new reality. Don't hold on to your old reality. Whatever life was like before, that's how it was before. Now make a new reality. Make a new direction in life. Find a new way to be happy. You used to be happy before the trauma happened. So that means you know how to be happy. Use this and say, right, how can I be happy in this scenario? And that means that you have to accept the whole universe at every moment. As it's happening, you have to accept it. Everything and everyone is hukam. Everything is hukam. Hukme andar sabko, bahar hukam na koi. Everything and everyone is in hukam. Nobody is outside of this system. You know how we like to think of hukam? How we like to think of God? Hukam is in charge of all the big things in life. Have you ever heard that? Like hukam decides when I'm getting married, when I'm going to die, when I'm going to get how many children, and all these sorts of things. But my free will is I can decide if I wake up in the morning, I want to have a cup of tea or I want to have a cup of coffee. That's my free will, I can decide that. God, you do all the big stuff, leave all the small things to me. Duality. That's what duality is. Hukam says, everything is you. Even my decision whether I'm going to have tea or coffee this morning, that's not my decision, that's you working through me. That's what hukam is at all moments of life. And the question is, can we accept hukam? You press the button on the coffee machine's broken. Now you're having neither tea, you're having neither coffee, it's all broken. The hot water's not coming, nothing's working. Can you accept it? Or are you going to hold on to such tiny things? But I need my coffee in the morning. Without my coffee, I can't start my day. How many people think like this? I have to have my coffee. I can't function without it. Then you're setting yourself up for dukh. One day the coffee machine's not going to work. You're setting yourself up. And then the rest of your day goes in a huff and a puff. You say, why is this person in such a bad mood? Oh, they haven't had their coffee today. Such simple, small things. If you're not able to accept something so small, how are you going to deal with the big things in life? We have to change our thinking. Guruji is about trying to teach us a new way of thinking, and we have to remind ourselves at every moment, the frozen mantra, let it go. You're not going to forget that one, right? You have to see right now, what is my trauma right now? What is life like at this very moment? Forget the past, forget the future. What is life right now? Am I in trauma right now, or am I holding on to some past trauma? Remind yourself at every moment. Become accepting that where you are right here, right now, is where you're meant to be. This is how life is. Life is complete as it is right now. This is what it means when we say hukam is perfect. The universe is perfect. The infinite wisdom of the universe knows what it's doing, and it's complete right now. I don't need to question the universe. Who am I? I'm nothing. So we create our own dukh, we create our own suffering. What is a worry? When you worry about something, what does it mean? It means that I have some fear of something that might happen in the future. That's what a worry is. It might happen in the future. Nobody knows what's actually going to happen in the future, but something might happen in the future. And we just start getting stressed. You know, they say that about 80% of the things that you're afraid of will never actually happen. So that's 80% of your dukh, of worries and fears of maybe this will happen, maybe that will happen. Those don't actually even happen. What have you wasted all of that energy over? About a future that you don't know whether it's going to happen or not. But hukam is not about past or future. It's about what's happening right now. And you're getting lost in your thoughts about the future or the past. And in those thoughts you're missing something. Life is passing you by right now. And that's what the past and the future actually are. They're just thoughts. Did you know that? The past is a thought. It's not a reality. Reality means now. Reality means what's happening now. The past is not a reality. It's an idea. The future is not a reality. It's an idea. It's a thought. There is only one reality. That reality is now. And we call that hukam. And as real as your memories may be, you have to understand that the trauma of the past is now no longer a reality. It's just a thought. Trauma of the past memories is not a reality anymore. That happened, but nobody else is holding on to that past. Only you are holding on to it right now. So as real and as painful as it may seem, you have to heal yourself by knowing that this is something I need to let go. I'm just holding on to it in my mind. Let this become your practice. Let it go. Let it go. Your hukam is fine. Your hukam is perfect. Don't have any expectations. Lose your expectations. Your expectation is saying, I think I want the universe to behave like this. But the universe doesn't care about your expectations. It's going to do what it's going to do. So lose your expectations. They're only causing you grief. they're only causing your own pain and suffering. Let this become your Naam Simran. Let this become your practice every moment of every day. You have to be aware of what's happening now in the complete perfection of the moment. And Guru Sahib says that in this awareness, in this present moment of now, Naam will settle your mind. Naam will give you that peace, and all your desires will be fulfilled. So I hope this has given you just a little bit of an insight into how we can solve some of our own problems. I mentioned briefly yesterday that I'm here for the rest of this week, starting from Monday yesterday all the way to Saturday, 7:30 every evening. And I'm from a very small charity that we've set up in the UK called NanakNaam. And the whole purpose of NanakNaam is how do we take Gurbani to help us deal with some of these things in life. So we will very kindly accept donations if the Sangat wants this sort of seva to carry on. And we'll kindly accept your donations, and any support that you can give us and any encouragement that you can give will be greatly appreciated. So I hope to see you all tomorrow. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity. Thank you to the Gurdwara committee. Thank you to Guru Sahib for allowing me to speak, and I hope I haven't said anything out of the Guru's wisdom that is wrong. I haven't said any mistakes, and if I have, please forgive me. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.